Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the bishops and the elders, the great millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to the 144,000 and the rest of the hopeful elect. I am the brother Kaya from GMS Indianapolis, the branch of Indiana, the original Gary campus, GMS Itwood and Ontario 2. And the title of this lesson will be called Baal is Confounded. Starting from Jeremiah 50:1, says, the word that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. You know, the modern day Chaldeans. All right. Well, who were the Chaldeans? Okay. The Chaldeans was a class in Babylon who basically ruled behind the scenes. All right. Elite warlocks and wizards that ruled Babylon behind the scenes, the same way that the modern small hat-ish people do America today. Okay. Declare ye, they would be the Chaldeans, and the so-called Americans would be Babylonians. All right. America is Babylon the Great. Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken. Yeah, Babylon taken. And you look at Rome before its fall. You look at America before its fall, because America is also Rome as well. All right. When they did one of those treaties after World War II, I don't remember if it was, you know what? How about this? See, because they taking down, you see, you know something? They taking down a lot of information, and a lot of information that we came across over the years you can't find. But through this AI and through this Chat GPT and Grok and all that, it's coming back. So AI is working to our advantage too. You see how elders and brothers, you know, and apostles going to it, you know. But because I just looked up some information. All right. And about the Bible Destruction Group. And I've been looking up information on that for years and couldn't find it, but I ended up finding it. All right. So let me see. Who said, because I came across some information that when they signed this treaty, one of the writers of it quoted, pardon me, and I quote, I do believe we have revived the Roman Empire. Now, Salaki, it was after World War II, but I believe it was during the creation of the ECC. Maybe. Let's see. See if they give us something. Okay. Okay. Let me try one more. After what treaty was the quote, I do believe we have revived the Roman Empire. Maybe I'm misquoting it, but maybe they'll give us something. Nevertheless, oh, here it is. Wait a minute. The Wadi Ba'ashem Yahushua. The quote, I do believe we have revived the Roman Empire, is attributed to Paul Henry Spock. Yep. See, I came across this some years ago. And then I tried to come across it again, and I couldn't find it. And when he quoted this, he was talking to, guess who? He was talking to a Rockefeller. It says a Belgian politician and one of the key figures in the early development of the European Union. He reportedly said this, or a similar sentiment, often paraphrased as, "We felt like Romans on that day." We were consciously recreating the Roman Empire once more in reference to the signing of the Treaty of Rome on March 25th, 1957. This treaty, signed on Capitoline Hill in Rome, established the European Economic Community, which now is the European Union, right? Which represents the woman that ride the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, the woman being Babylon, the 7 heads being the major Edomite rulerships. Another word for Edomite is so-called white rulerships, right? The British, right? The British was a glorious empire. Spain, which Spain and Portugal is represented as one. They had it, right? They had the reigns for a while, right? French, okay, Germans, East Germany, and for right now the two is escaping me. But just to stay on point, the other two, it says a precursor to the European Union and is considered a foundational moment in European integration. The context of the quote reflects the ambition of unifying European nations, evoking the historical unity and power of the Roman Empire. All right, so the point was made right there. All right, so Babylon is taken. All right, AKA America. Same similarities going on before Rome fell. All right. The devaluing of the denarius by combining it with weaker metals. All right. In America, you get fractional reserve banking, inflation, hyperinflation, shrinkflation. Okay. Now you can go on and on. They got YouTube videos on it. You don't believe me? You had a so-called white man tell you in that soft voice with those quotes and references, all right, and degrees and accolades, whatever. You can have him tell you, okay? Baal is confounded now. Baal was the chief god of Babylon, all right? And one of the chief gods, see, America is a land of many gods, right? But what Jesus getting you people? See, people, Baal was a god of prosperity. All right. He was a god of many things, but one of them was prosperity. So you prosperity gospel doctrine, you Jesusites, where you at with it? What you gonna do with hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs, so-called black women in particular? And ironically enough, that's the major demographic in the so-called black church, hollering and screaming Jesus. But they just took over 100,000 of your jobs a couple months ago, right? Ending all these programs, all right? And also, more on the point, Baal is confounded. See, Esau is turning this AI into a guide, all right? AI is supposed to be this AI and whatever other technology they got, technology in general. Okay. But AI is supposed to be this, just this whole wealth of information and knowledge they can pull from at any given time. You know and you know what? They put it in the movies. You be in the movies, you watch these movies, and they got these, Iron Man had Jarvis or whatever, right? And he was just supposed to be basically an extension of Iron Man. Know his likes, know his, just like like a perfect servant, or like basically what Alfred was to Batman, but technical though. and you need something, he got all the references for you. Whatever you need, you talking, he can find it or whatever, right? But that stuff not gonna save you. Like how we do the Google searches. Here it is. You need knowledge on something, information on something, access on something. Well, the AI that Esau got, see, whatever he released to us, he got 40, 50 years in advance. And movies, movies is art. And there's a saying, art imitates life. Once you start seeing stuff in the movies, you start seeing it in real time, 10 to 20 years later. So the AI that he got, the upper elites and what they doing, right, is on a whole nother level. Baal is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. See, because these people, see, they know who Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is. And they turn to these demons, right, to combat Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. It says her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. Yeah, because Babylon, aka America, got all his many images. And when people had these physical idols represented ideas and practices. People thinking that they so-called part of the trans community and all that, man, that's idolatry behind that. In the Talmud, they believe, the fathers of that whole movement, cutting off your tallywhacker and replacing it with a coin purse, or replacing it with a goddamn girdle and some stockings. You know what race of people started that? The first proponents of that. You tell me. You take a wild guess. In the Talmud, they believe that when God created man and woman in the very beginning, that they were hermaphrodites. That's what they believe. So all these idols, okay, got ideas and practices behind them. And all of that shit gonna be confounded. It's being confounded now. You see what happened when them people live that lifestyle and do that stuff? Well, you probably don't see it because Esau don't publish that. He don't want he don't want you to know that. All the regret and the suicides after finding out that you just was tweaking. You was just having a moment. And within that moment of your emotion, you did something that can't be undone. But ultimately, that his AI, his technology that he used for weaponry, all that's going to be confounded. All right. Let me go to, what's that? 1 Samuel 5. In 1. And the Philistines took the ark of the Most High and brought it into Ebenezer, unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of the Most High, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Now, who is Dagon? An idol. And when they of Ashdod arose early in the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord, and they took Dagon and set him in his place again. So so the ark of the Lord was perfectly fine. And the idol, the statue, was falling on his face in front of it, in front of the ark of the Most High. All right. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was falling on his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. All right, so the Lord judged it by making it fall before him to let you know, look, this is where the true power at. All right. And them heathens back in the day, all right, them idols, they ain't just have idols, okay, and that was it. There was levels and extensions of magic and all of that stuff, all right? There's nothing new under the sun. It's levels to it. The little nigga woman who work at McDonald's, okay, who buying crystals, all right. She answers that's very, 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 very low level, base level. Okay? That stuff far exceeds higher up into them people communicating with spirits and demons, all type of stuff. When you get in the upper spirit cooking, all type of debauchery. The more base things you do, the more this is a base people. You got the Most High on one side, and you got Satan on the other side. These people, they can't behold the face of the Most High. That was told to Cain. He said, my face shall be hidden from thy face. When you read Isaiah 26:10, it says, let favor be shown to the wicked. Will he not learn righteousness in the land of uprightness? All right, let me grab that. Isaiah 26:10. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness, the holy land, will he deal unjustly. And what is he doing? Okay. Everything you do that get you kicked out. And will not behold the majesty of the Lord. Behold mean look. He can't see the face of the Lord. The face, he been cursed ever since he couldn't see the face of the Lord since Cain. To see the face of the Lord, to behold the majesty of the Lord, to behold is to look. All right, he the original can't get right. All right. So, because he can't learn righteousness, then he does what? He learns evil. That's why he be so curious into, look, all these other nations, what do he study all and get off deep all into these other nations religions too. The more foul it is, the better it is to him. Habakkuk 2:4, the soul that is in him is not upright. All right. But the just shall live by faith. All right. You can't make straight what the Lord made crooked. Back in 1 Samuel, it says, that was the point. So let me this read Exodus 2. There's another incident with the Lord confounded the power of the Egyptians. Exodus 7:11. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. And I put that down. I read that to show, like, look, they had power too. Okay. See, now you in the upper elites. The pharaohs and the magicians, the magicians and the wise men, the sorcerers, they rubbing arrows, pardon me. They rubbing elbows with Pharaoh, okay? Like them upper elites and all of that, rubbing elbows with the kings and the presidents and the leaders. You see those little people, Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that's her name. Was that her name? There's so many names of these people. I think she was with Epstein. But the other one, Abramovich, spirit cooking, using different bodily fluids. And I mean, use your imagination when I say different. And other things to do what? To have access to this type of power. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods, right? So it is power on that side, but the one true power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, is the supreme. And it ain't gonna be it's not gonna be a tussle either. When Yahweh Shai arise and look upon the earth to go and execute judgment, it's not gonna be Ali and Frazier part 2. All right, it's gonna be a TKO. It ain't gonna be, this person got some licks in and that person got some licks, but he run around running, he run around. It ain't gonna be none of that. Second Thessalonians 2:9. It says, even him whose coming is after working of Satan. See, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So this nigga, the Lord allowed him to access some power, just like the Egyptian pharaohs accessed power. Other ones access power. But he has become what? The mistress of witchcraft. All right. Nahum 3:4. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. When someone is well-favored, what that mean? Everybody like him. Everybody like America. That's why everybody over here. And even at the shit that's going on, see, something really about to happen. Because these foreign motherfuckers, they still got hope. That shit gonna right itself. Nigga, no. I'm talking about Haitians in Northern Kingdom alike. Africans. Some of the foreigners waking up and complaining over the years about going to their country and all that. They could do better and this, that, and the third. You just got to work to. But still, some of them is just like still holding out. Thinking another 4 or 5 years, when we get another president, whatever, the well-favored heart, and it's a multitude of whoredoms, right? Because like I said earlier, this is a land of many gods. Let's Google that. How many religions in America? And then you got religions that's not recognized. How many you got? You got cults too. Occults. While the U.S. religious system lists over 370 religious bodies and estimates the number of congregations to be over 350,000 with over 160 million adherents, the actual number of religions and denominations practiced in the United States is much higher. Over 370, so it's much higher. 370, so 500? It's estimated that there are thousands of different religions and spiritual traditions in the U.S., encompassing major world religions, various denominations within those religions, and smaller independent religious groups. See, come on, man. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcraft, a mistress is the feminine form of master. All right? So they mastered all these witchcrafts. Look, they go to all these other nations, right? They They research their libraries, they worship systems. They burn down, they burn and hide. They burn information, tear down information, keep information, hide information, right? And they all study their worship systems too. Probably why Esau married them Canaanite women. I ain't saying that's what the scriptures say. But one of the reasons why the scripture told us not to marry those Canaanite women, it said because they would turn your heart away from your power, the Most High. He despised the blessing. The blessing is associated with the power of the Most High. Him being Esau Edom inherently. Anyway, stay on point. It says that selleth nations through her whoredoms. Yeah, he'll restructure a whole country with his whoredoms. Okay? Whether that be democracy, whether that be taking them away from healing themselves with the herbs native to their land, then taking their shots, contraception, promiscuity, just negativeness, changing up the music, the whole culture, and families through her witchcraft. I said, it only take 1 or 2 generations. You got a lot of these little YNs, right? Just one or 2 generations from immigrants. Parents came over here thinking they was chasing the American dream, and their children got caught up in the American system, whether it's the school system. And then you put them in school, now they're exposed to other individuals, whether that video games, now they're getting video games and the music. They got a lawsuit for making Fortnite too addictive. These devils know what they doing. Then everybody playing San Andreas. Number one video game, especially among so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. San Andreas and what else? Goddamn Call of Duty. Oh, and can't forget 2K. Two violent, murderous games and a athletic sport game coupled with music and just dark black culture in society, period. It's all witchcraft. All right? And like 2 Thessalonians said, 2:9, the Lord gave this man power. I'm going to read that again to get that definition of power. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Dynamis. Dunamis. Greek. Strength, power, ability, inherent power. Power for performing miracles. See? They got technology where they can restore sight, right? Restore hearing. If you're a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, restore movement, right? But that's a false miracle. Because we know, see, the thing is with this devil, he don't operate within the Most High's law. So there's always going to be variance, right, in what he give you. They say he heal your eye. Yeah, okay, well, you can see for 2 weeks. Then a year or two later, they fall out your damn head. The power of influence, which belong to riches and wealth, an oligarchy. See, oligarchy is you led by the rich, and when you look at the leaders of this place, everybody rich, or the leaders are, and they work for who? The rich, and that's who get blessed. All right, Psalm 10, maybe 4. Psalm 10 and 3. For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire. All right. What's his heart's desire? Everybody gonna be wearing wearables in a couple years, which basically means you're gonna be chipped. All right. You shall have nothing and be happy. Right? So you're gonna be a slave. Right? The things, what he see the future as, he keeps saying 2030 and all of this, right? Right? His perfect utopia, his utopia is your dystopia. Right? They boast about that. And what else? And blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorred. Who are the covet? What does it mean to covet? You want something that don't belong to you. All right? These people stealing identity, stealing lands, stealing power from other people, and they get blessed. Them small hatters, the main ones. How many billions they received in aid, right? And weaponry and in defense. See? More on power. Power and resources arising from numbers. They got the resources. They ain't got the numbers. Power consisting in or resting upon armies, forces, hosts. Right. They got that too. So we need Yahweh Shai. All right. And they got power from these from their technology, right? The whole cloud seeding thing. Now, which starting floods around the world, that they got technology to start earthquakes. You talk about this type of stuff. See, in the barbershop, you talk about this type of shit, say you was in a barbershop. You might have a few in there that agree, maybe, but people gonna think you crazy. People gonna think you a sea theorist. People gonna say they can't do that. Well, you gonna see what you about to see. What they believe they can and can't do. While you talking about what they can't do, you gonna be getting oopsed upside your damn head. Ain't we past that? Talking about what this devil can and can't do. And you Latin tribes, man, y'all know they see, you still got that hope that maybe he gonna stop being the devil. That's why the scripture says, who shall pity a charmer if he is bitten, or him that come nigh the wild beast? When you see those people hopping over the barricade to get closer to the polar bear, or to get a better look at the tiger, and they get attacked, do you go, no, you don't pity them. What you say? Well, why the hell that's what the barricade for? Why didn't they see that and not go over it? Here it is, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, showing you he the devil. You niggas think because it ain't 1955 that he don't hate you no more. He just got better ways of doing it without exposing himself where he did. But now it's back to they trying to take this shit back to when America was great. When America great in the 50s. Ain't they trying to, you want Medicaid? Oh, your ass gonna have to go pick berries. Yeah, they taking all this aid away, but guess what? They gonna bring it back to put your ass into serfdom. You gonna be out there picking strawberries to get food stamps. But nah, we crazy. They can't do that. Well, you gonna see. All right. So back on that power with the ability to, let me see, manipulate weather. They now it's rumored that when Turkey didn't follow the status quo in regard to America, United Nations, and the EU and all of that, that an earthquake knocked some down. All right. They sent the earthquake over there, and I was watching Turkish news around that time, and they said that they didn't blame the earthquake on a natural disaster. They blamed America for that earthquake, if I'm not mistaken. It was America or the EU, whatever, the Edomite power structure, which they are a part of, but they, not gonna be soon, as it pertains to prophecy. As far as what, like the scripture says, a house divided against itself cannot stand. That house that's been created, the EU and the United Nations, to be a power to resist Russia, right? No, it's not gonna stand, and it's not standing. So anyway, Sirach, but they say he ain't got a leg to stand on. Well, they losing his last leg. Sirach 39 and 27. 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life is water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are good. All these things are for good to the godly. Right. Who are the godly? The Israelites. So when we interact, especially in times past, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, all right, our people have been seduced by Esau. So as a whole, we don't display the characteristics of our ancestors. All right. That's what it means to be a degenerate. Because when you look in the past, even in the 30s, 20s, 50s, our people was nowhere near what you see now. And that was a time of many great adventures of our people as well. Because when we interact with the earth, it's for good. Okay? Usually when we are Yasharan, right? Yashawan. When you look that word up, all right? Yashawan. Matter of fact, let's look there. Come on. It's Jeshurun, but the Hebrew is pronounced Yashawan. If I'm not mistaken. Deuteronomy 33 and 5. Just get this word. Yashawan. Right, Yashawan, upright one. A symbolic name for Israel describing her ideal character. So when our people in our right mind, acting like Israelites, who we supposed to be, then it's positive when we interact with the earth. The principal uses of life. Right? So the sinners, they are turned into evil. And Esau, you're a sinner. Nigga. The sacrifice was supposed to be an animal. You sacrificed fruit and vegetables when you was Cain. Nigga, you a sinner that can't repent. And you turned all these things to evil with your AI. Well, Salakia, which AI been around for a while, but with your evil mind and your repurposing of technology. A lot of these inventions Jake invented for good, like that cloud seeding. Let's see, we'll see if we could get Grok to tell us. um, was the original cloud seeding invention meant to produce rain in areas suffering drought? Yes, see, and that was a Jake. I think it was a Northern Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken. Will says read though. Yes, the original cloud seeding invention was primarily aimed at producing rain in areas suffering from drought or needing increased precipitation. Developed in the 1940s by American scientists, notably Vincent Schaefer and Bernard Vonnegut, wrong. Cloud seeding was pioneered through experiments to stimulate rainfall by introducing substances like silver iodide or dry ice into clouds to encourage the formation of raindrop snowflakes. The initial goal was to address water shortages, enhance agricultural productivity, and mitigate drought conditions, particularly in arid regions. For example, the dryers would into sparking interest weather for drought. However, the technology they explore. Wait a minute. Sparking interest in weather modification for drought relief, right? For drought relief. However, the technology was later explored for other purposes, such as fall dispersal and hail suppression, but drought alleviation remained a core motivation. No, that shit was turned to evil. Now, this was kind of okay, but the original information I came across, it was a Jake. And I think it was like Northern Kingdom or something, like from Argentina or something, and he disappeared, and he came up dead or something. So more than likely, and that's and look, now I'm a little hazy on all the details, right? But don't that ain't that the MO of Esau Edom, right? That's your MO anyway. And hey, and this is what we're witnessing, right? So Isaiah 2, I'm gonna start at verse 10. Enter into the rock and hide thee in the dust, for fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And Esau Edom is chief of this. All right. Ain't nobody more haughty than him or lofty than him. He the king of the hill right now. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall. So your defenses ain't gonna work either. All right. And upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. Right. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day, and the idols he shall utterly abolish. All right. The touchdown Jesus over there in Brazil, right? Which that got hit by the thunder, if I'm not mistaken, a while ago. Oh, the Georgia Guidestones, that got hit by thunder. In which what was the Georgia Guidestones? That was an idea. All right. Idols are entrenched in ideas and practices. All right. All that technology shit. You see, there's instances when the so-called UFOs that we know that we know them as chariots. The Bible call them chariots. They go over missile defense bases, and things go haywire. All right. AI it ain't gonna be the age of Ultron. AI ain't gonna have no answer. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth. Right. They building retreats, right? Underwater, underground, in mountains, out of space. Right? And not deep out of space, within Earth's atmosphere, yet out of space. All right. And into the caves of the earth for fear of Yahweh Shem Yahushai and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. So with that, Lord's will, this was an edifying lesson to the hopeful elect. Call Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Rakah Kodash Shalom.